Abau and Rigo landowners not happy. Road blocked after semi-trailer pulled off power pole. And young Pacific leaders share experiences and challenges.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Good evening and welcome. This is Sunday's news. Landowners of the Laco Imila logging project in Abau and Rigo districts of Central Province are unhappy over foreign logging operations in the area, in which they claim there is illegal logging as the permit has expired already. Despite an agreement signed between the landowners and local logging company Kikori Forest Management Limited on Christmas Day last year, Malaysian-owned logging operator Kinmas, which was asked to move out as a result of the permit expiring, is still operating through Kupiano, in which the company has been operating in the area over the last decade. Malaysian-owned logging operator Kinmas has been operating in the Abau and Rigo districts of Central Province for over a decade now, with logs exported through Abau district centre Kupiano. With landowners unhappy over Kinmas operations, in which they have claimed that they have seen very little development, thus failing to fulfill agreement. Kinmas operating license has also expired. Kikori Forest Management Limited was approved to take over the operations, signing an agreement with the landowners last Christmas. However, landowners and KFML say Kinmas is still operating in the area despite its permit expiring.
On Kupiano project, we have signed the deal with the landowners, the 22 ILGs in Kupiano, and the project agreement, the contract was signed on the 25th December on the 20th, 2020. On the 25th, 2020. Now that agreement stands with the landowners. We're just trying to find a way to making sure that Kinmas, who are operating down there, to leave the place, because the permit, Oyapura permit, timber permit, LFA has been lapsed. So we try to get the LFA reviewed again and reissue to Kikori Forest or a joint venture company.
And why is Kinmas operating now in Kupiano? There's also trying to bring another case because my father, Bakeleba, Kinmas has promised to pay 35 million. He haven't paid. And on top of that, 2011 to 2021, now it's 10 years operation. The permit is not be paid. So what's I'm questioning now, please, forestry, can you help us with this issue?
Coming across to Kinmas, there's no proper development plan, which I made up my mind with my 23 clans to hold Kikori Forest to sign an agreement, because the agreement that we have signed is the best and ever agreement which we have signed. That's why now myself, Bruce, and the Kikori Forest will be operating, and with the 23 clans we'll be operating together.
KFDL and the landowner representatives are appealing to the National Forest Authority to look into the matter and take appropriate action. Landowners in the Kikori Baimuru logging project area of Gulf Province are appealing to the National Forest Authority to issue license previously held by foreign logging company Turama Forest Industries to local company Kikori Forest Management Limited. Executive Chairman of Kikori Forest Management Limited, Mark Sarong, shared his views to EMTV News about TFI's operations in the past in terms of landowner benefits.
There's a bit of delay because of the very tight schedule with forestry on issuing the instrument to show coastal to cancel the permit to Turama. And we are pursuing that agenda as we speak with National Forest Authority. By next week, we want to see that forestry issue that instrument or notice to Turama for the cancellation. We are publishing this information. It must become public so that everybody knows what's happening. We don't want to hide this information. Many may think negativity about what we are doing, but we are very transparent. We want to be very transparent in everything that we want to do above the table. There's nothing we can hide. We want to make sure that these things are done so that we see some development in our own land. That's the reason why we're pursuing this agenda to cancel this permit and give it to ourselves. Over the last couple of years, we got no idea of how to do logging. That's why we allow the foreigners to come and do it for us so that we will learn from them. We have already learned enough from Turama how to do it. We want to say thank you to Turama for them to leave us peacefully so that we'll take over ourselves. No hard feelings. It's our birthright. We want to be on our own land and we'll do it ourselves. And we want to say thank you to forestry for pursuing this agenda to making sure the permit is cancelled. And that's the stand we have taken. We're not going to change our decision. We're going to go ahead and do this.
A semi-trailer carrying a ready-mix truck almost pulled a power line pole off the ground just before the Erima roundabout. According to an eyewitness, the incident happened between 8 and 9 in the morning. Fortunately, no serious injury was caused and no damage done to the passing vehicles. PNG Power was on site and dismantled the power line that was attached to the falling power pole.
This semi-trailer carrying the cement mixer truck accidentally pulled an overhead power line while passing by along the Erima road. Vehicles queued up as far as the Erima overhead bridge, while boys from that area helped control the traffic. According to an eyewitness, the truck was passing by without an escort to guide it drive along the passage.
Morning now morning chole one bla drive la container car am kam na am burgin power line na mi bla boys bla look style am mo se mi bla walk lo game am car am no ga escort backside so am run kam lo game am anta lo game am over meter 6 meter 7 meter I straight slam am pulling power up no ga escort without escort am burgis la drive la line lo now morning liya.
The eyewitness says luckily no serious injury was sustained by residents and no damage was done to the passing vehicles.
Yeah, I'm coming close to all man or power post nubla. I'm all blood. It's like I'm going broke na. Kilisala man liabi. So man merial move ko am church na. Ko but lagi I'm no broke. I'm pulling na fire kirap solantalo. Power pole.
The live wire was dismantled by PNG Power after receiving a call from residents beside the road. Podivai, National EMTV News.
Young leaders from various organizations yesterday participated in a workshop to share their experiences and challenges on what they are doing to support their local communities. The Young Pacific Leadership Conference was hosted by the U.S. Department of State, which saw young leaders mobilize to bring change in their communities. Most of these leaders are young advocates of various issues, including culture, environment, education, health, and community development.
The Young Pacific Leaders Conference was held in the nation's capital, which saw leaders from various non-government organizations in attendance. It was hosted by U.S. Department of State, and it is about capacity building and motivating young leaders in the Pacific to take up leadership roles and contribute effectively to change their local communities. In PNG, 12 leaders were selected to participate in this conference.
So each of us here have presented what we're doing to contribute towards the development of PNG, and our collective vision is for more young people to step up and look at how they can contribute to change and not be afraid to take on these leadership roles.
Basically talks about education, resource and environment management, civic leadership, and economic and social development. It is in one way this to empower all Pacific leaders to get into leadership capacities to make positive impacts.
The Young Pacific Leaders Program is about leadership, educate, advocate, drive change in their local communities and serve. And these young leaders have been doing that through their respective organizations. Junior Neville Pori is the Executive Director and President of Westanga Foundation, and they have been involved in supporting education, health, social development and disaster relief. Other organizations include Kisimbek Pasin Custom and Pasin PNG Our Culture, Our Pride, and they have been involved in documenting PNG culture with the hope of preserving it.
We've gone into agriculture, we've gone into the health sector as well. Also, on level na macro mipla. We cannot be billionaires to bring all our changes up. In whatever space that we have, we contribute something, at least to see a positive change in the communities. Social development as well, and then we also into disaster relief programs as well. We do donations and stuff.
So like we focus lo try best lo encourage more generation lo now lo no can do something lo passing tumuna or good lo valuable passing do me because all tumuna all young all lapun where one lot staff now lo community or lo place do me one child staff and they are dying with that knowledge.
But they are also faced with many challenges. Elena Meineke from Kisimbek Pasin Customs says her biggest challenge is logistics.
Geographical areas where you may hard to reach them all. And also being a young person, working with elders who've only been staff had before, and they'll be like, oh, who is this person who's just coming now and trying to tell us what to do? So these are real challenges that we as young education advocates face.
But despite these challenges, the young leaders are committed to do what they are passionate about. And their collective aim is to inspire young Papua New Guineans to take up leadership roles and contribute to change in their communities. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The Secretary for the Department of Justice and Attorney General, Dr. Eric Kwa, has highlighted plans to introduce more laws to address gender-based violence in the country. Some of these bills will ensure relatives who have witnessed gender-based violence and decided not to report it to responsible authorities will be held accountable. Another bill that will be brought before Parliament for deliberation is the Women Health Bill. The Secretary was speaking when launching a new radio drama against GBV on Friday.
Whether we should hold family members, relatives accountable for witnessing domestic violence but not reporting. I've asked them to look at it and to get the people's view on whether we should also extend the criminality of the offense to the relatives. Because most times we watch the couple engage in arguments, engage in quarrels, and at given points the men become violent to the woman. And even the children. And then we don't report because we think it's a family matter. So that's an angle that we're looking at in terms of the review of the Family Protection Act. One of the new bills that we want to try and bring into, to get the government to approve is the Women's Health Protection Bill. That's something that we want to try and encourage a lot of women to come forward, and particularly in relation to family planning and access to health services and access to justice. So that's something that we are working with UNFPA. Thank you to the UN system. Thank you to Spotlight. That we hope that we can be able to bring those reforms.
You're watching National MTV News. When we come back, we bring you tonight's A Closer Look. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Talks on splitting up certain electorates in Papua New Guinea have been ongoing for at least a decade now. Kairuku, Hiri, Thalasea and Alotau Open are three districts that say when the split happens, they will see basic government services reach them at the community level. The Electoral Boundaries Commission, the body that recommends to Parliament if there is a need to split up electorates, has been collecting data. But time is running out to set new electoral boundaries before the 2022 national general elections.
With 8 months left before the start of the 2022 national general elections, and discussions on the creation of new open electorates are beginning to surface again. It has been frustrating for locals on the far ends of Kairuku-Hiri district in the central province. An open electorate that is spread along either side of the Iritano Highway has been calling for the separation of Kairuku from Hiri for at least a decade now.
The Electoral Boundaries Commission must speed up, regardless of what, but speed up the comments from the public, general public, to make it a favorable report that goes to the parliament, and that must be speeded up. Otherwise, we're going to miss out again for another 5 years. We have been well eligible for the last 10 years, and then if this process is slowed down, we will wait for the next 5 years again, and the same story will come in the next Electoral Boundaries Commission meeting. From the charts and information, our economic growths were not spelled out. The school map was there, the health establishments, but they're all in deteriorated states. Because of the slice we get from our member, we overload him. Our health services are run down, our education services are run down, and now with the new government reform in education, we cannot start off with high schools, we cannot start off with new primary schools and new kindergartens. And collectively, I should say that our economic growth, if it was charted, we have a very small or very low economic growth. And that growth determines the poverty of Kairuku-Hiri people.
The Electoral Boundaries Commission has been sending teams out to collect data on 4 specific areas in order to suggest a split in the electoral boundaries. 2 weeks ago, a team from EBC met with locals in Berena in the Kairuku LLG and presented recommendations on splitting the electorate into Kairuku and Hiri.
Electoral Boundaries Commission review is to review existing open electoral boundaries and to see if there is possibility of if there is a chance of new open electorates to be established.
But in order for a split to occur, the EBC must collect data on the population density, existing electoral boundaries, and communication and other services that are accessible in the electorate.
Provided that all the necessary groundwork has been done, I understand there's been some work around review of the electoral boundaries, provided that the consultations have been extensive, the public have been widely consulted and their views have been captured, and the report is available, and the government and the different stakeholders have been given the opportunity to have access to that report and understand the issues. I think for me, the bottom line is understanding the issues, identifying the ways to address them, and if the government feels in their wisdom that they need to bring this, or if the parliament in their wisdom decides to address this matter in the August sitting, then I think they should go ahead and do it.
All right.
Unless the groundwork has not been done yet.
Kairuku-Hiri is the largest electorate in Central Province, with a landmass of 10,820 square kilometers. Though it has 2 separate administrators, it still falls under one political head. As per the census report of 2011, Kairuku-Hiri has a population of 121,586 people, with a population growth rate of 2.5 from 1980 to 2011.
The very important thing is that we are going to separate. That's the whole thing. To split the 2 electorates so that we will have 2 members. This will make it easier for the people of Kairuku and Hiri. Why I say this is because if you look at into the regions of Papua New Guinea, there's some other people, other regions, they split the provinces, and they do have a lot of districts. They do have a lot of members. That's why they get more funds. Maybe I'm wrong, all right. And Kairukus and Hiris are well behind.
Being the largest open electorate in Central Province, it is difficult for basic government services to reach the rural population. And the DSIP funds are just not enough to deliver government services right down to the community level.
As the local member, having to endure all these challenges in the last 7 years I've been your member, I'm happy at last we get in there. I must give assurance to people of Kairuku district that I think I've done my bit on the floor of Parliament, floor and corridors of Parliament to convince enough members already. And many of them have told me, they said, Member, Vice Minister, we understand your plight. Mipla wait so long on Boundaries Commission, hurry up him report. Current proposal come, we will allow you to debate. We will allow you to debate and we just get the report adopted so we can see to split in the electorate. Administratively, the structure is in place. The land demarcation lines are already there. We are served by 2 district administrators.
In West New Britain Province, people in Thalassia District are calling for a split in the electoral boundaries. A submission presented to the Electoral Commission's boundary highlights the increase in population and slow delivery of services, suggesting the need to create new electorates.
Government must take him into consideration. People members living in the National Parliament, only the big responsibility no plan no disrespect. Honorable members, I'm starting to Honorable member,
similar calls are being made from Kutubu and Bosavi people in the Southern Highlands Province.
You kiss him bagrap, you kiss him dust. All of you all karamigo come. You cry yet. No one want the voice. That's why Mibla talk. Government, you must consider him. Not giving Mibla Nibla electorate. All of Mibla yet. But come on, voice blow Mibla. Mibla like him, Kudumu Posabe electorate.
Now, with the collection of views and statistics from the 3 electorates, a report needs to be compiled and submitted to Parliament for approval before new electoral boundaries can be created.
The work of EBC is to collect the public view and make a report. And the report is submitted to the National Parliament. That's the role of the review, EBC review. The National Parliament is the decision maker. EBC, Electoral Boundaries Commission, and I, as one of the commissioners, do not have the power to decide yes to have a new open electorate or no, not to have a new open electorate. That is the decision of our elected leaders in the House of Parliament.
The people from the electorates pushing for change want their member to address the issue in August sitting of Parliament. And if so, the progress to implement these changes may take longer than expected.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Papua New Guinea Football Association President John Capinato and his administration have been prioritizing the development of football at all levels of competition. Recently, during the launch of the Kumul Petroleum National Soccer League competition, Kapinato announced that there will be a youth league after the NSL competition.
As you know, PNGFA is embarking on platforms of competitions. Just about 6 months ago, we started the Women's WNSL. First time. The Women's NSL will come again at the end of the year in September and October. And then for the first time, our Y League will kick off at the end of the year. We believe in creating a pathway for youth in this country. So at the end of the year in October and September, our youth league will kick off both in the Northern Conference and in the Southern Conference. So we're creating this platform.
The National Capital District Commission is supporting sports in schools as part of building a better social status of the city. Governor of the National Capital District, Powis Pakop, told media on Thursday that the Commission is currently working with schools in the nation's capital to utilize sporting facilities across the city.
We have started this sports in schools, which is an initiative that we worked with the Minister for Higher Education and Sports to get sports back into the school, using NCD with all its facilities and all the venues here to pilot the project of sports in schools. So we'll continue to spend money in that regard. And we also use other support as well, going to football. We're supporting Port Moresby Footballers Association and into different sports in the city, because for us and for me, we see sports as a very viable platform by which we can achieve wider social outcome. So we will continue to do this in all facets of sport, both competitive sport, non-competitive sport.
The weather report is next. All the details after the break.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports. This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby and Popondetta, partly cloudy with chances of light showers and drizzles. Alotau, mostly fine, partly cloudy periods. In the Momasa region, Lae, few showers with possible thunderstorms. Vanimo, cloudy periods with some showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, partly cloudy with few showers. Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, partly cloudy with some showers. Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy with some showers and light variable winds.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
That's the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday, the 1st of August 2021. Until then, be safe, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.